Hi, you guys. Happy holidays. I was gonna start filming a new video for you guys, a new printing video, and I just started cracking up because I realized it's Christmas week, and so this is basically like my holiday special. Welcome to the holiday special, right, Tully? Yeah. So we're gonna go and print a lovely image today for somebody who just purchased it, and I'll talk more about it as we go. So I thought I'd chat for a sec about selling prints because I'm sure a lot of you are thinking about selling prints as well. The way that I really like to do it is I like to have a very small curated selection of prints available in the shop on my site. And that's great because then I can rotate out the images regularly. And that's great because then it gives me a reason to email my lovely email list of collectors. It gives me a reason to post on social media about new additions to the shop. If you have every single image on your website available for sale all the time, there's less of a reason to update people about that, right? Because it's always the same selection of images. Also, when folks visit a site where every single thing is for sale and maybe you've got hundreds of images for sale, it's really easy for people to get option overwhelm, you know? So if we have just a really nice limited selection and it's really beautifully curated, then that's actually easier for folks to make decisions, you know? And it's also nice because people check back to see if there are new additions to the shop. So I love doing this for a lot of reasons. One of those reasons is it actually helps me to not get overwhelmed with what's happening in my shop. So it's really nice to just be able to add one new print in occasionally when I make a new one I love, take one out, add another new one in, and just have all my favorites at any given time in the shop. And the reality too is that if you have all of your images on your website for sale all the time, not all of those images are photographs that people would want to purchase and display in their homes. You know, there's a limited number that are going to work well in that capacity. Some images just make more sense for that than other images. So yeah, these are some of the things I think about when I choose which of my images to sell. So this is the photograph that I'm going to be printing today. Somebody bought it the other day, so I'm going to make a nice big 10 by 20 inch print for them. And on the left side, that's a photograph of me. It's a self-portrait, and it's very soft. I made it by throwing my camera way out of focus when I made the image. And in my hand is a mala. It's a Buddhist prayer necklace or bracelet, it could also be. And then on the right side, that's a photograph I made around the same time out at the Oregon coast where I used to live. I was on a walk and just noticed that beautiful flowering branch. And it was in the winter time, it was around now, but this one branch was already flowering. And it was just so kind of magical and amazing. I love that. Nothing else is flowering there. I have no idea what that is, but it just really captured me. So I made a photograph. I printed this before as a single image on my favorite paper, the Hahnemühle Fine Art Burita paper. Isn't that gorgeous? The way the light is coming into the studio today, it's just perfect, and you can really see the sheen and the texture on the paper. But this is kind of an unusual image for me because I think it really works well as a single image. It's strong enough to stand on its own, I think, but it also really works beautifully in a diptych, and that adds kind of a new layer of meaning and poetry to it. Sometimes it's just really clear to me that an image kind of needs another image in order to make it more interesting. Some images are so simple that they just really work well in diptychs, and other times images are too complex, and so they really can't hang with another image. It's just too over the top, too complicated, and sort of like visually jarring. So there's kind of a happy medium in there somewhere, but yeah, this image I think can go either way. I'm just gonna burn this little area right at the top here because I don't want this white to bleed out into the paper white, you know, so it looks like there's no border there. So I just want to make that a tiny bit darker. So I'm just gonna burn it just a smidge. So I often make prints on this channel, and that's just what I love to do. And I am making prints that I'm selling and sending to folks. So I thought I would take you along on that journey and play with different papers and things like that. But really, the thing I'm most interested in is talking about ideas and hang-ups and creative confidence and all the deeper, juicier issues that we grapple with as artists. So making prints is sort of like a fun thing we can do while we chat about some deeper, juicier subjects. It's definitely not a tech channel, right, where we're talking about all the tech nitty-gritty. But I was thinking about the print as a final object. Like, is that always the final object? And it's really not, right? Years ago, when I was printing in darkroom all the time, and it was before people really had websites so much, it was pretty rare. And there was no social media, or very minimal social media. No, it was before social media. The print, that was it. It's like, if you wanted anybody to see your photographs, you had to have a print. And so that very much was in my mind as like, the print is the final object. But now you might be a really passionate photographer and have a lot of amazing images and really have very little interest in making prints. And I think that has to be okay too. Like, the final product might be a post on social media, or it might be just putting it up on your website in a series or something like that, or doing a slideshow for your family or something. So yeah, and maybe you have no interest in actually printing, but you can pay somebody else or a shop to make a lovely print for you every now and then, So the print doesn't have to be like the be all and end all anymore. And it's actually a lot easier to share just images online, right? So anyway, it's interesting how that's changed over the years, but I still love, love, love a good print in my hands. It's kind of hard to beat that, It's kind of hard to beat. I want to make sure to mention that my year-long photography e-course, Gathering Light, starts on January 1st. It only opens for registration once a year, and this is it. If you want to join me for a full year of weekly photography lessons, videos, rich conversations about living the creative life, interviews with some of my very, very favorite artists, a really lovely community of photographers, it's here for you. If you've been feeling a little bit lackluster about your art, a little directionless, if you know that you would benefit from some gentle accountability, some support, some guidance all year long, this is for you. It's for photographers at all levels because our focus is the creative practice. It's not a technical class. We have folks from around the world joining us, and it's really, really a lovely community. We talk about deepening your relationship with your photography, finding your personal vision and voice, making images that are truly yours and not derivative. You will gain a lot of confidence over the year, and you'll make a lot of gorgeous, gorgeous new images. The link to join is down below, and that's where you can also read what past students have shared about their experience in the class. So take a look at that. We start on January 1st, and if you have any questions, just give me a shout. You guys, resist the temptation to blow on a print if it's got a little piece of dust on it. Just don't do it. Don't do it. It seems like it would be so quick and easy. You could just blow it off. No. Oh my God, it's kind of gross, but it's really, really, really easy to get just a tiny little spot of spit on the print, just a tiny little spot, and then that'll often wreck it, especially if you're going to sell your print. You really don't want to do that. Just say no. Don't do it. That's a reminder to myself, because I've been doing this for how many years now, and I still do it. I'm like, oh, I'll just blow really quick. Just that little piece of dust. I just got to get it. And I just did it, and I messed it up. I don't know if I'm ever going to learn. So I was talking to a student the other day who was telling me that his friends and family had reacted pretty badly to some more experimental self-portraiture he had done. The images were kind of dark, kind of moody, and they were really strong images. And so it was just a great opportunity to talk about how there are always going to be folks who do not understand the work we're doing as artists. That's always going to happen. And in fact, if it's happening, it's like you're doing it right. You're being an artist right. That's how it works. That's part and parcel of this whole thing. And there are always going to be people who just expect portraits and self-portraits to be smiling, happy, like the kind of picture you might see if you were to buy a 5x7 frame at the store, the picture that just comes inside the frame of, like the happy couple on the beach. They expect stuff like that. And anything that is darker, moodier, or emotional, and that touches into some of the more, challenging emotions that we have as humans, that can make people feel uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean it's not a really fertile, important, transformational place to explore with your art. So it's not a problem with you or your art, right? It's just a problem with the translation to audiences who really have no framework for that. They have no foundation for that. They just are not comfortable with anything that's outside of the status quo. And that's okay. Keep making the art. Your art won't work for everybody. And that's a good thing. Like, would we rather make work that's palatable to everyone all the time? Or would we rather make work that is cathartic and meaningful and brave? Let's do that, Let's do that. So this is what I'm holding in the photograph. This is a mala that I made, kind of like the Buddhist version of a rosary that you can use while meditating. And you can feel each bead, maybe as you breathe, as you're doing your meditation, or as you're saying a little mantra. But they're also just really beautiful. So I made this one with these gorgeous labradorite beads. Aren't those just stunning? I love the way they catch the light. And then this beautiful little silver piece from India. So this is a special piece. With a student I was talking to the other day, it felt like these new self-portraits that he had made were some of his most evolved artistic work. So that's absolutely not something you should nip in the bud because, friends and family who really don't understand art and don't even really like art feel uncomfortable with it. No, keep going, You might be making your very best work, and you're certainly making images that are a lot more interesting than if you played it safe. So here is our print, hot off the press. I am really happy with the way it turned out. I love the slight sepia tone, and I love the texture of the paper, the sheen of the paper, how nice and rich that makes the blacks. I love this image at this size, and I'm really glad that I just tested it out again. I felt like I needed to revisit all of the print settings because it had been a couple or even a few years since I made this print. And it's possible that the last time I made the print, I was actually using my old Epson printer. And so now I have the Canon and I have a different ink set certainly than the last time I printed it, even if it was on the Canon. So things change, and I just wanted to make sure that the print was exactly as I envisioned it. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Love it. So this isn't the first time I've experimented with throwing the camera way out of focus when I shot self-portraits. I actually did this a lot when I was in my early 20s, and these are a few images from that time period. It's a really fun practice. It makes things more anonymous, which is nice, and it also just adds this lovely layer of interpretation and poetry and mood to the images. It's possible to add this softening in post-production, right, to really any image, but I really, really like throwing the camera out of focus when I'm shooting. I love giving up control in parts of the creative practice and just seeing what will happen. And this is a technique that just really makes me happy. All right, folks, that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out. Happy holidays. I have a feeling you're going to make a lot of gorgeous, gorgeous photographs in the coming year. And I'm wishing you well with your art. Thanks for being here. Bye. If you'd like to explore creative ideas like these in more depth as they relate to your own photography, there are many different ways to work with me. I have a series of online courses, most of which you can start as soon as you sign up. Some focus on the creative side of the practice, and some are more professional track classes. And I also do one-on-one mentoring with students around the world. That's where we meet on Zoom or phone and do a deep dive on your archives, on any challenges you're working through, your current projects and goals, and I'll help you gain clarity and momentum with those things. Mentoring will feel really helpful if you're stalled or unsure about your next steps. With all of my offerings, I bring 20 plus years as a curator, photographer, gallerist, professional portfolio reviewer, educator, and juror to the table. I give you all my best guidance and support. The links are below for all my current online classes and to schedule a mentoring session with me. And if you enjoyed this video, please share. It does help support the work I do. Okay, happy photographing out there. Be well.